Hey everyone, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing 3 projects that all have buffalo plaid in them. Now the first project, I'm going to take one of these Christmas trees from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start by pulling apart the branches, and the base pieces that come with it you can just get rid of because we're not going to need them. These trees are a little bit thin, so I'm going to show you how you can use some other pieces from the Dollar Tree to make them look a little bit fuller. I'm going to take some of these wired garlands and I'm going to wrap them around the center stem of the tree, and as I get towards the top I'm going to clip them a little bit shorter since the branches are shorter, and that way they'll blend right in and make them look fuller. For the base of the tree, I'll be using this pickle jar, and I found this bundle of fabrics from Walmart. They're a flannel fabric, so I took out the black and white buffalo plaid, and the piece measures about 18 by 21, which is a pretty perfect size for this size jar. And I'm just going to gather the material up around the jar and tie it in place with twine, and then I'll cut the excess off. Once I had the fabric cut down to where I liked it, I took a small piece of floral foam and cut it to fit inside the jar. Then I took the Christmas tree and I added a little bit of hot glue to the base, and I kind of pressed it down into the foam to secure it. To secure the tree a little bit more, I put a little bit of hot glue on the lip of the jar, and I kind of squeezed the fabric and the tree branch together around the hot glue, and I did this in a couple spots around the jar. Then I decided to add a little bit of fake snow to the tree, so I took a little bit of water and some white chalk paint, and I just mixed that together, and then I just lightly brushed it onto the branches. If you had some of the spray snow, you could use that too, but I would spray that on before you put the tree inside the jar. To finish off the look of this tree, I decided to take some twine and I cut 4 equal lengths and just tied them into a simple bow, and then I hot glued them onto the side of the jar. Now you could also decorate this tree with ornaments or even some fairy lights, but I decided to keep mine simple and just keep it plain. project number 2, I'm going to take 2 of these mini crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using the Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to use it as a stain. So I'm going to brush it on the whole way around the outside of the crates, and then I'm going to wipe it off with paper towels. And I'm going to do this to the outside of both crates. Once I had both crates stained, I used a little bit of wood glue and I just smeared it onto one end of the crate, and I pushed them together and held them in place with some clips. Now I'm going to use some of this buffalo plaid ribbon from the Dollar Tree to create a simple bow for the front of the crates. I also used a few floral picks just to decorate the center of the bow, and then I hot glued the bow onto the front of the crates. Now because these crates are a little bit short, I had to cut the tails a little bit shorter than I normally would for a bow. Next I took some floral foam and cut it down to fit inside each side of the crate. I did add a little bit of hot glue to the bottom of the foam just to keep it in place. And then I took a little bit of Spanish moss and I kind of pulled it apart and laid it across the top of the foam just to cover it up a little bit. I'm going to use 2 more pieces of this wired garland, and I'm just going to twist them together to make them a little bit fuller, and then I'm going to form them into a ring. And I found this really cool candle holder at the Dollar Tree that looks like mercury glass, so I'm just going to make sure that the ring fits around the base of the candle. Then I'll hot glue the ring into place on top of the crates, and then I'm gonna separate the Spanish moss a little bit where the crates join together so that I can glue the candle holder right onto that seam. For the last project, I'm going to be painting my own buffalo plaid pattern onto this oversized tag. Now, painting your own buffalo plaid is quite a few steps, but it's really not hard to do. And to speed up the painting process, I always like to use my hairdryer to help dry each coat of paint as I put it on. To start, I'm just going to paint the whole tag with one coat of the plaster chalk paint by Waverly. It's really important that your base coat is completely dry before you move on to this next step. So I'm going to start by using painter's tape, and I'm going to line it up on one edge of my tag. Then I'm going to lay another strip of tape right next to it, and then a third strip right next to that one. Then I'll remove the second strip and use that as a spacing guide for the rest of the stripes the whole way across the tag. Once I had all my tape laid down, I used the elephant color by Waverly, and I just applied one coat of paint in between each piece of painter's tape. Once the gray paint had dried, I removed all of the painter's tape from the sign. Now we're going to repeat this process but going in the opposite direction. So you're going to lay down your painter's tape starting at the bottom of the tag and use another piece as a spacer, and you're going to go the whole way to the top. Then I took the same color of elephant gray and I mixed it with white so it would be a few shades lighter than the gray that I laid down on the first coat. Now I'm trying to show you here that you can see through the paint where the lighter squares are and where the darker squares are. So for this step, you are going to leave all of the tape on that you had previously applied, and you're going to go back through and you're going to put tape back on the lighter squares only. So it's hard to see on camera, but in person you can definitely see the difference between the lighter squares and the darker squares. And then if you need to, you can use another piece of painter's tape to help as a spacer if you're having a hard time seeing the squares. And you're just going to do that the whole way across the tag again. And then I'm going to take that same elephant gray color and I'm going to mix black with it to make it a few shades darker than the original gray color. And then you're just going to paint that all over the sign. After your last coat of paint dried the whole way, you can start to peel off all of the tape and start to reveal the buffalo plaid pattern. Now I did go back through and I took a little bit of the white paint and I used a dry brush technique and I just went around the edges a little bit to give it a distressed look. To decorate my sign, I decided to lay a piece of burlap ribbon across the bottom of the tag, and then I used a floral pick and I just kept it whole as an arrangement, and I hot glued that right on top of the burlap. Then I made a small bow and I hot glued that right on top of the floral pick, and then I just flipped the tag over and I glued the edges of the burlap ribbon onto the back. Here's a look at all three projects together. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. I think my favorite is probably the tag because I really love using that painter's tape technique to create buffalo plaid. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you click subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!